Hey cruise fans, and welcome to my channel Cruise with Grant, where we talk about all things Norwegian cruise lines. Norwegian has just recently announced the newest addition to their fleet coming in 2025, the Norwegian Aqua. But the Prima class has been plagued with lots of complaints about some of the new things that Norwegian's been trying out. In today's video, I'm going to run down everything that you need to know about NCL Aqua to see if they've made some improvements to some of those missteps. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, let's start off with a little bit of background. Norwegian Prima, the first in its class, was launched in 2022 to much fanfare. The ship was intended to signal a very different direction that Norwegian was looking to take its fleet. Up until that point, Norwegian had been following a lot of the trends that were happening in the cruise industry, building larger and larger ships. Their last ship, built prior to the Prima, Norwegian Encore, held about 4,000 passengers, and other cruise lines like Royal Caribbean are continuing to build larger ships like the Icon of the Seas, which will hold about 5,500 passengers. By comparison, the original Prima class ships were intended to be smaller and more intimate, carrying about 3,100 guests at full double occupancy. And this is where the ships in the Prima class appear to have run into some troubles. Although there was great intention to create more intimate spaces on board, one of the overwhelming pieces of feedback that I've read about online about Norwegian Prima and Viva is that the venues are just too small. People have complained that in addition to long lineups to get into some of the entertainment venues, in some cases they haven't even been able to get reservations for some of the main stage shows like Donna Summer the Musical during their cruise at all. While indoor spaces may have gotten smaller, the Prima class revolutionized the way that Norwegian used its outdoor spaces. On the Prima class, the engines were moved from the rear of the ship into the center of the ship, not only opening up a whole range of aft-facing balcony cabins, but also creating something that they call the Ocean Boulevard, a continuous outdoor space that wraps all the way around the ship, featuring a number of places to sit and read outside, infinity pools, and also outdoor eating areas. The one drawback that I did hear about the addition of so much outdoor space was that the Prima wasn't always sailing warm itineraries. So when, for example, the Prima was sailing to Iceland, a lot of those outdoor spaces were covered in snow and ice and were not available, again, making it feel really cramped in the interior of the ship. Moving on from the spaces, the Prima class did introduce a number of really interesting innovations, including one of my favorites, which is the Indulge Foodhul concept. This was a really interesting idea where in a designated area you could sit down at a table with a tablet to be able to order from a number of different food venues. They'll know where you're located and bring your food right to you. This seems like a really clever way to provide an alternative to the buffet or the dining room where you've got to have a full sit-down meal. While I could talk about food all day, there are a couple of other innovations that NCL introduced on this class of ship. In the theater, they were experimenting with a way to make the space a bit more multi-purpose. Rather than having the theater be stuck in a theater configuration all the time, they introduced a new feature where the seats would actually slide back after a theater performance was finished, and they'd be able to use that space for the nightclub as well. This is really clever given that there are a number of spaces I find on cruise ships that go underused for most of the time. The other innovation that they added to the ship was something that they call the drop. This is a dry slide that has a 10-foot drop, so if you're a thrill seeker, this may be something that appeals to you. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about the original ships, Norwegian Prima and Viva in this class, let's talk a little bit more about Aqua. The original plan for NCL with the Prima class was to make 5 identical ships. They would be all the same, which is even a bit different than the existing Breakaway and Breakaway Plus ships, which intentionally had some unique design features. When NCL announced Aqua, they also announced that it would be part of a brand new class of ship that they're calling Prima Plus. What this signals to me is that they're listening to some of the feedback that they've received about Prima and Viva. In the press release that Norwegian issued, they said that they'll be overall increasing the space on board by about 10%. The number of guests will also be increasing to about 3,500. In addition to the size, the onboard features are also going to be changing with Aqua. While the Prima and Viva continued the same trend that we saw with the Breakaway Plus class ships, having a go-kart on the top level of the ship, Norwegian Aqua is going to be introducing something that they're calling a hybrid water roller coaster. It has a magnetic lift that will lift you up 3 stories, and then it appears that you and a partner will race against another group to see who finishes first. Looking at the images and the artist renderings, I have to say I'm having a little bit of a hard time figuring out if this water roller coaster is going to be something for me, but we'll have something to look forward to in terms of hearing what folks think about it when the ship premieres in 2025. In addition to the water coaster, Norwegian is also going to be introducing a new space that they call the Glow Court. By day, it will be a sports court with some LED lights built into it for a nice vibe, surrounded by a lounge. It appears that in the evening hours, they're going to be able to transition that space from a sports facility into a dance club or nightclub. Now, if you're a fan of the Haven, Norwegian's hotel within a hotel concept, the press release indicates that Aqua is going to have the largest haven of any of the vessels in their fleet, boasting over 120 private rooms, including some multi-level 3-bedroom accommodations. In addition to some of the amenities that are found on other NCL ships like private dining rooms and also outdoor sun areas, the Aqua will also boast a private infinity pool just for Haven guests, as well as some spa features, including a glassed-in sauna space and also a cold room. Although we don't have all of the details on Aqua just yet, it does appear that they're going to be keeping some of the favorites from the Prima class, as well as other NCL cruise ships. If you're looking to try the drop, it will be included on Aqua, along with all of the clubs for folks who are traveling with youth, children, and babies. If you're a solo traveler, not to fear, Aqua is also going to include a number of studio cabins and a dedicated solo traveler lounge. This is in addition to the earlier announcement that they made this year, which is that they'll also be opening up inside, ocean view, and balcony rooms intended specifically for solo travelers, so you're not paying that double occupancy. One thing that I'm very curious to find out more about is in their press release, NCL indicates that they're going to have a space called the Stadium, which will have complimentary games available. I'm not sure if this is replacing the Galaxy Pavilion space that usually was available at a cost on some of the other Breakaway Plus and Prima class ships. So I'll be wanting to pay more attention to this to see what this will mean in terms of onboard activity offerings. And finally, NCL has also indicated that they're going to be keeping the Ocean Boulevard concept, which I think was pretty well received on the Prima and Viva. In addition to the existing offerings on the Ocean Boulevard, for the first time they're going to be adding day beds. I'm sure you're going to have to get out there early, although I have seen pictures that have shown that they are now cracking down a little bit on people reserving loungers and day beds for the full day. In terms of Aqua's initial itineraries, it does seem that NCL is also paying attention to where ships like this with so much outdoor space are best suited. It sounds like Aqua is going to be spending the first part of her time in the Caribbean. This seems like a great choice to be able to really let people explore and make best use of the Ocean Boulevard and all of that outdoor space. Now that you've heard a little bit more about Norwegian Aqua, what do you think? And are you planning to take a cruise on this new Prima Plus class of ship? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to check out some of the other videos that I've made with more NCL cruise news and also tips to help you plan for the perfect Norwegian cruise. If you found this video helpful, please remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help me out. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!